begins by showing a man named Makoto riding a bus in New York City while reading a letter. While he was asleep, the letter in his hand fell down until a girl woke him up and gave the letter back to him. It turns out that Makoto went to New York to meet his friend, who was holding a photo exhibition. After he got off, Makoto asked some passersby where he was going until he came to a river close to the location on his map. The scene switched when Makoto was still a new student at one of the campuses in Japan who preferred truant so as not to attend the new student opening ceremony. Makoto finally chooses to go to a forbidden place, and he meets a girl named Shizuru from the same college. Makoto saw Shizuru struggling to cross, so he asked her to cross at another crossing. From a distance, Makoto, curious about Shizuru, took a picture of her from behind. When Makoto is in his class, he sees the girl he likes, and Shizuru is in the same class as him. He chuckled, seeing Shizuru, who suddenly fell asleep in the middle of the class. After class ended, Makoto, who liked to be alone, left the classroom and chose a quieter hallway to walk to the toilet. Makoto has a skin disease, and he has to smear his skin with a medicine with a strong smell. That's why he always tried to hide or stay away from people because he feared the medicine smell would disturb them. While Makoto was in the cafeteria, Shizuru suddenly met him. It seemed that she realized that she was being photographed by him from a distance, so she asked his purpose as to why he did it. He was surprised to hear that. Makoto, who thought she would be angry with him, was surprised that she thanked him instead. She even wished that they were friends. Makoto and Shizuru chatted, and it was discovered that she had inflammation of the mucous membranes. Makoto asked if she had managed to cross that time or not. Shizuru, who doesn't know how to cross the street, finally invites Makoto to tell her how to cross the busy street. At night, the same street was deserted. Even Shizuru could run across. After seeing her finally able to run around and cross the street happily, Makoto left and headed towards a forbidden place he had almost visited before. Unexpectedly, Shizuru followed him, so the two entered the forbidden forest area by jumping over a guardrail. After walking for a while, they realized that the place was beautiful. Makoto, who has a photography hobby, began to take pictures of the scenery there. They saw a bird with a long tail, so Makoto tried to take a picture of it. Unfortunately, he didn't make it because the bird flew away. Makoto and Shizuru place a snack on a tree branch to lure the bird out, and at the same time, their love story begins. In the evening, Makoto prints out the photos he's taken. He also printed a photo of Shizuru waiting for motorists to stop to cross the road. The next day, when it rained, Makoto was seen in the cafeteria enjoying his lunch. Not long after, a girl he often pays attention to in class named Miyuki appears and asks him to join in for lunch with the other students. Makoto looks awkward because he is not used to eating together and chatting with many students. At the same time, Shizuru came to the cafeteria to meet Makoto. She had brought her camera as she also had a hobby of photography. Seeing Makoto, who was joining the other students, she looked sad, so she decided to eat alone in the cafeteria. On another occasion, Makoto took a beach vacation with Miyuki and his friends. At that time, Makoto is wearing a t-shirt because he doesn't want his friends to know about his skin disease. A few days later, at college, Makoto gives his friends the photos he took on vacation. They thought he already had a girlfriend because they had seen him go alone with Shizuru. Makoto objected and said that he and Shizuru were just friends. After that, his friends mocked Shizuru's appearance, but Makoto kept quiet. As it turned out, their conversation was overheard by Shizuru, who was not far away. She looked sad, approached Makoto to give him a book and then just left. Makoto, who feels guilty, goes after Shizuru, who turns out to go to a forbidden place. She sat by the river while crying. Makoto tried to calm her down and gave her a small snack he had bought. She smiled again, and they finally took a picture together. Because it was getting dark, Makoto finally invited Shizuru to his house. Arriving there, Shizuru saw many photos of Makoto pasted on the wall. She also saw that there was medicine on the table. Makoto, who saw her holding the medicine, immediately took it and hid it. After that, he showed her where to print the photos he had taken. Shizuru was very happy because she could print photos from her camera. After finishing printing the photos, Shizuru returned to the living room. She saw that there was a portrait of herself in the row of Makoto's photos that made her happy. When Makoto drove Shizuru home, she said her walls would be full of pictures of him one day. Makoto, who heard it, was confused by what she was talking about. Shizuru explained that she was suffering from a disease that slowed her growth, and she would wait until she reached growth like any other girl, making her no less beautiful. Makoto was even more surprised by her words. The next day, Makoto was seen in class and sitting with Miyuki. He deliberately did not use his skin medicine to avoid disturbing the one he liked. After the lecture, it was seen that Makoto invited Miyuki to go to a place in a forbidden area that he used to visit. Unexpectedly, Shizuru was there and saw the two of them. The jealous Shizuru left Makoto and Miyuki sadly. Seeing Shizuru, who looked annoyed at him, Makoto chased after her. Shizuru was angry and disappointed that Makoto took Miyuki there. After that, she left, leaving Makoto unable to do anything. A few days later, Makoto didn't see Shizuru in the classroom, so he looked for her. Elsewhere, it turned out that Shizuru came to Miyuki, who was in the library. She watched Miyuki secretly, and the two of them became friends because Miyuki was wearing a necklace that had the same meaning like Shizuru's bracelet. When the two of them continued their chat in the park, Makoto was surprised to see Shizuru with Miyuki because the previous day, Shizuru had seemed angry because of his closeness to Miyuki. Makoto pulled Shizuru and invited her to talk some distance from the garden table. He suspected that she was planning something bad for Miyuki. Shizuru explained that she only wanted to be friends with her. Shizuru said she wanted the person she loved to fall in love with the person of her choice, even if it wasn't with her. The scenes switch when Makoto has grown up and is under a bridge in New York at night. He is preparing his camera to take a picture. Meanwhile, in a building, someone is seen preparing for a photo exhibition belonging to Shizuru, which will be held on December 23 to 27, 2005. Back when Makoto was still in college, the love triangle relationship among Makoto, Shizuru and Miyuki lasted until their final year of college. When Makoto was looking for a side job on campus, he saw Shizuru carrying many things and followed her. As it turned out, she had run away from home and was going to live in a room on campus. Seeing Shizuru having a hard time, Makoto invited her to stay at his house. She unhesitatingly agreed with his offer. Arriving at the house, Makoto and Shizuru seemed to tidy up some things because she would be staying there. While Makoto was smearing his skin medicine in the living room, he saw the medicine in Shizuru's bag and thought she was hiding something from him. As the night grew late, Makoto asked Shizuru to sleep on the bed because he could sleep elsewhere. However, she misunderstood his intentions because she assumed he was asking her to sleep with him. Shizuru reveals that it doesn't matter because she can't pay for his good deeds that have allowed her to stay at his house. The confused Makoto refused and made her sad and upset. However, he actually laughed at her annoyance like a child. In fact, when they left for the campus, Shizuru still looked annoyed, while Makoto just smiled at her. At night, Shizuru seems to be cooking dinner while telling Makoto that she ran away from home after her sister died. She didn't want to live with her father because they always fought. Turns out, her sister also suffers from a genetic disease passed down by her mother. Shortly after, dinner was finally ready. Makoto and Shizuru were seen enjoying their dinner. He praised her delicious cooking. At the same time, Makoto noticed Shizuru who was eating, and he seemed to be starting to fall in love with her. On campus, when Makoto was sitting with Miyuki in class, she told him it was her birthday. He apologized to her because he had forgotten her. Miyuki looked relaxed, and instead, she asked him to go somewhere. At night at home, Makoto shares his plan with Miyuki to go to a simulated wedding. At first, Shizuru looked annoyed, but then she asked him to keep going with Miyuki, and even helped him prepare the clothes that he would wear. 1 week later, Makoto and Miyuki seemed to have come to the wedding simulation venue. That day, he deliberately did not bring his skin medicine for fear of disturbing the event. However, while the event was going on, Makoto looked in pain, so he decided to go to the toilet. His wound was so annoying that he took off his suit. At that time, he found his wound medicine in his coat. As it turned out, Shizuru had prepared the medicine in his coat pocket. Meanwhile, at Makoto's house, Shizuru's milk teeth fall out, and it can be seen that something has happened to her. Makoto and Miyuki then continued their activities and took a photo shoot like a married couple. Miyuki seemed to be wearing a beautiful wedding dress, and Makoto was wearing a full suit. When Makoto got home, he saw a pile of dirty tissues in the trash. After checking, he saw Shizuru was cleaning up the blood in the bathroom due to her missing baby teeth. Before they went to sleep, Makoto and Shizuru chatted, and he asked about her birthday. Shizuru didn't answer. Instead, she told him to focus more on his relationship with Miyuki. After that, jokingly, Shizuru asked Makoto for a birthday present if she told him when her birthday was. Makoto agrees, and Shizuru tells him that the birthday present she wants is that she wants to take a picture while Makoto is kissing her. She said that her birthday was tomorrow. The next day, Makoto and Shizuru came to a forbidden area in the forest near the campus. It looks like they are ready to take pictures. Before kissing, Shizuru took off her glasses, and Makoto was mesmerized by her beauty when she wasn't wearing glasses. Finally, Makoto kissed Shizuru, and she captured the photo while hugging him. After that, Makoto returned to campus, while Shizuru didn't go because she wanted to be there longer. While in class, Makoto thought about what he had done with Shizuru. In the afternoon, Makoto brought some groceries for dinner. Arriving home, he put some food in the refrigerator and saw a message from Shizuru who turned out to have left his house. Makoto looked panicked after reading the message because he had just realized he had fallen in love with her. He tries to find Shizuru on campus, but the campus employee informs him that Shizuru suddenly resigns from campus even though she will graduate soon. Shizuru's departure makes Makoto very sad and sick, so Miyuki and his friends must take him to the hospital. After a long time, his condition improved. Makoto seemed to be chatting with Miyuki and said he would wait for Shizuru. Miyuki was not angry with what he said because she knew he liked her, but he loved Shizuru more. Finally, Makoto and his friends split up after their graduation. After graduating from college, Makoto works as a photographer and is still waiting for Shizuru even though many years have passed. One day, Makoto gets a letter from Shizuru which makes him fly to New York to meet her. Under the New York Bridge, Makoto is seen taking pictures of the scenery. Suddenly, Miyuki came to pick him up. She seems to be friends with Shizuru and has been hiding something important from him. Miyuki tells Makoto that Shizuru can't meet him, so Miyuki invites him over to her place. Makoto was trying to be patient and waiting for the day of his meeting with Shizuru. Not long after, at Miyuki's place, Makoto learned that there was a voicemail from Shizuru's father informing him that Shizuru had died 49 days ago. Hearing the news, he tried not to believe it. When Miyuki realized that Makoto had learned of this fact, she finally told him everything that had happened to Shizuru all this time. It turns out that Shizuru has the same disease as her mother, and it gets worse when she falls in love with Makoto. She could actually prevent the situation from getting any worse. However, her love for him was so great that she chose to love him until she died happily. The day has changed. Now Makoto is attending a photo exhibition created by Shizuru. At that place, he saw Shizuru, who had become a beautiful woman different from the Shizuru he had known. She seems to have fallen in love with him since her first meeting. That's why all the photos in the exhibition were photos of Makoto that Shizuru had secretly taken. Makoto looked sad, especially after he saw a photo of him kissing Shizuru. In the photo, it was written that it was the only kiss in her life. Makoto decided to immediately return to Japan. While saying goodbye to Miyuki, he asked her to send all the letters that Shizuru had written for him. After returning to Japan, Makoto finally received all the letters that Shizuru had written for him. With the letters, he felt that she was still alive and was texting each other. At the film's end, a bird with a long tail that Makoto and Shizuru would never see in a restricted area perched on Makoto's mailbox. The moral that can be learned from this movie is, never to waste someone's sincerity because when that person leaves, regret is the